On Sports Today, the coaches back-to-back for Parkland Mazda, the #1 team at Parkland Mazda Cannington.
On 882 6PR.
Yeah, Brad and Carl. Good evening, Ross Lyon.
Hello, Brad. How are you?
Going really well.
Hello, mate.
Congratulations. Big win yesterday. And, of course, a little bit of a lull in the second quarter. But, Ross, you and Carl and I, Carl and I played in lower teams, and you've probably played in a lower team and coached against lower.
I've played for 10 years.
And you've coached against them too. It doesn't matter how good you are. You generally lose the handle for at least a few minutes, don't you?
Yeah, look, I took off 3 out of 4 quarters. Oh, excuse me, and apologies to the listeners. Second quarter, we just lost our way. Probably got too aggressive running forward, and we turned it over out of the middle, and they just scored really quickly out the back. So, but we addressed that really quickly and played in the manner we wanted to. Won the ground ball really strongly, like we did the week before against Carlton, and I saw we're mucking around with a bit in the second. So second half, kicked it longer and got more direct and got a lot of reward on the scoreboard.
Really pleased to see the, younger, lesser like Nick Subin, a bloke who you've challenged and given opportunity to and given him different roles, just rise to the level he did on the weekend. I thought that was arguably his best game for the season.
You're spot on. He was terrific against Carlton. He's got a real consistency about him now, and that stems from his preparation and his training, and to the point where we're starting him, in the first 10 of bounces, and we've had Fife out and Hill out and Mundy out, and Lockie Neal's really stepped up. He's starting to get real reward for effort. He can seriously play the game, and he's got a lot of growth in him. But I thought Tom Sherrod on the weekend was quite solid. So we got 3 second-year players trying to command the spot, so it bears well for the future.
An added bonus, Ross, as you say, you've still got some blokes to come back and some, some regular starters too, which is good. So that keeps pressure on, and so that means everybody in the team is trying to hold their spot. So generally, you get an even effort.
Yeah, and that's something we spoke about before the game, that there's competition for spots, and you really need to bring the effort we're after to keep commanding your spot, because we've got 4 players that have probably been entrenched in the team. Out Pearce, Everton, McFarlane and Hill, and some more pressure coming up from Peel.
Clark, with his game on the weekend, thought he was absolutely outstanding, won plenty of the footy, went forward, kicks a goal, takes a good mark. Just with Sandy, he's not. He doesn't seem to be right at his best yet. Can't probably expect that to be, but he's marking. I mean, he's got to take more marks than none, doesn't he, to have impact going forward against better teams?
Well, yeah, we like him. I thought he was really effective against Carlton. I thought Zach Clark, I actually gave him the best player on the ground. I thought he was really significant. But if Damon's not marking, he's coming to ground. So when we went more direct and worked off him, we scored quite heavily. So he was really effective against Carlton. It was an incredibly windy and blustery day. So when you're 213 centimetres and you've got 4 blokes hanging off your Guernsey, it's pretty hard to sort of take a lot of clunks. So he wasn't as effective as he was the week before, but we're really confident he's building really strongly. So there's no real concerns there. And he gave our midfield first use at the stoppages.
Look, I think we all admire Sheedy to a degree in what he's done, but I thought it was a bit cheap, the shot that he had at you and the draw that you've had this year, because I think at the start of the season, when we all looked at it, we thought, well, this is going to be a difficult time for Fremantle, and most of them said in hindsight last year that it was Adelaide who had the chook lotto.
Yeah, look, when you've been smacked by 120 points and you're an expansion team and you're trying to get the AFL up and going Western Sydney, Kevin is remarkable at sort of throwing out red herrings and distractions. So it was about a 5-minute analysis of our draw, and I think if you look at it now, we're obviously playing teams below us, but I think when you go through it, we've had a pretty significant draw and one challenge by significant injury. So it doesn't worry me too much, and Kevin's just doing his job, really.
I mean, when it comes down to it, Ross, at the moment, look, the sides that you've beaten in the 8, Richmond you beat them by a point. They got you, I think, the next time round. Collingwood by 27, you drew with Sydney. So, the challenge still remains ahead of you, even though you've got 3 lower.
And Essendon, by a kick or whatever, So
yeah, so
we lost.
In the end, mate, it's really tight at the top, isn't it? I mean, even the sides that are still fighting it out for 9th spot, and they may get in if Essendon come out. There's still a lot to play out in this season.
Oh, it's a very even season. I mean, to see what Collingwood did to Sydney, Hawthorn, can get challenged. Adelaide beat North. It's a really difficult season, and if you're off your game and you're not at your absolute best, you're going to get beaten. So I've been thrilled with our group's consistency of effort, their will to win, and we're no doubt we're starting to play our best football, and we need to continue that over the next 3 weeks, and particularly in Melbourne at the MCG and what's going to be a wet and blustery day. So even the Richmond game, where we're in that, I don't think we got blown away and we supported the ball. So we're really confident our best is right up there with the best.
Now, I know you don't like to talk about it, but Valentine obviously was subbed out early. Is anything significant with him, and are you likely to leave him home this week?
No, he vomited at half-time, and he'd come back from a 3-week hamstring, so he tightened a little bit. He could have kept going, there's no doubt about that, and we're trying to find one, and we thought, and he had a head knock early, he's banging himself around like he does, so he wasn't thrilled, but he accepted it and supported the decision. He loves a goal, Hayden, so he wasn't thrilled. But he's fine. And Duffield, it's been confirmed the cork, so he's fine, and Hill will definitely play as it stands, and we're really hopeful Ibbotson will get up this week as well.
Now, mate, there was a little bit going on down at Peel Thunder on the weekend about Jesse Crichton. I've been asked by John Saparovich, it is here, whether he played in the half a game that he played. Is he ticking enough boxes? And obviously losing Viv Mitchie on the weekend and him being out for the season, how do you think he is going and whether he earns another contract?
So Viv Mitchie, contract? Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I think he's out. I think he's favourite for the Sandover medal, isn't he? So we'd be pretty keen to contract him. And Jesse Crichton's only played half a game. I was down there. I took the 3 kids down there, and I was a bit concerned that they were getting blown away. And they got the 13 points, and Alex Foster got away 50-metre penalty, and they blew out the 28. But they certainly fought back really well, won the clearances. I think Jesse Crichton at half-time was serviceable, but I thought all the other players really stood up because they lost Mitchie, and obviously Crichton got tapped out at half-time because he needed to be a functioning emergency. So. But everyone else down there really dug in,
Well, just another one here, Hanneth. How come he didn't play on the weekend?
Yeah, he's got some slight issues that needed to be managed. So we all talk about resting and managing. So Jack has played a number of AFL games, a big pre-season, and he's been a little bit sore, and he just needed to be managed. So it's part of that, trying to preserve him for the greater good.
I know you'll be interested, Ross. Bell's just been bowled by Harris, so 6 for in the cricket now, so we'll update our listeners a little later on that.
Well, someone will tweet that, won't they? One of the players pull out their iPhone and tweet it, won't they? Hey, Warner.
Or Warner. Or Warner, he's good at the tweets. And as you say, Melbourne this week, they're okay. I watched a bit of their game. It was hard to watch, but it was they played against Gold Coast, and Gold Coast, as we know, we all respect them at the moment. They're going pretty well, and Melbourne were able to run them to at least 16 points, where probably most thought they might get blown away.
Excuse me, sorry to your listeners again. Oh, you're spot on. More entries, more shots on goal in a really difficult environment up there against some quality teams. So Neil Craig's having an effect there. They're really improving, and there's no guarantee. So we'll have to come and be on our game, and we're pretty keen to bank 4 points. So it's an opportunity to improve and accept the challenge of going over there and knocking them over.
Hey, Ross, they would have wanted to improve after being smashed by GWS and North Melbourne in the previous couple of weeks. They have been very ordinary, mate, and, let's hope that they do turn up and give you a contest.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. But it just shows how GWS smacked them, and they come over probably full of hope and expectation, and, if you're not on your game, you get smacked. So it's a real reminder for us all.
I've heard you state several times, Luke McFarlane, round 23. No chance of any earlier?
No, not that I'm aware of. So, no.
I'll keep an eye on that.
Thanks, Brad. Thanks, Carl.
Ross. All the best. Ross Lyon there. So there's our first coach back-to-back.